Hey folks, I'm here from Transformers and Video Games and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be participating in the Figure Farce Challenge. So sit back and enjoy. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And we're back. As I mentioned in my intro, today I'm going to be participating in the Figure Farce Challenge. The Figure Farce Challenge was brought to us by our friends out of the UK known as Figure Farce. And Figure Farce is essentially a group of 5 collector friends who all have their own independent YouTube channels, but who come together regularly to collaborate on discussions and challenges just like this one for each other and for anybody else in the YouTube community to participate in. Now essentially what the challenge is this week is to discuss a Transformers figure who you love to hate. So essentially what I'm going to talk about is Prehistory Animal Sludge. Now this obviously looks very different from the sludge that most of us are used to seeing, and we'll take a closer look at him in a minute. Again, this isn't meant to be a review of the figure. If anybody's interested in me doing a thorough review, maybe that'll be in the cards in the future. But again, this is just my entry in the Figure Farce Challenge. So you might be wondering why I would hate or love to hate this figure, and quite honestly, I don't. I actually really like it. Now, the reason I'm going to say that this figure qualifies for me is that if I'd received this figure back in 1985 instead of the regular Sludge, I would have been very disappointed and I would have hated the figure. So again, if you wanted this figure and ended up getting this figure, you would probably be disappointed as well, at least if you were a kid growing up in the 80s. So anyways, let's take a closer look at this figure.
Before we get started, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my buddy Jeremy Z31 on Instagram, who's a huge fan of these figures and who has the best vintage Dinobot collection I've ever seen. He's a very nice guy, a huge supporter of the channel, and a fan of 80s lifestyle, including freestyle BMX, vintage Transformers, and awesome cars. Check him out. Okay, so let's start off by taking a quick look at the packaging. Based on the style of the box and the artwork that they clearly borrowed, this figure is more of a knockoff of the Diaclone version of Sludge than the G1 version, but you can see how a parent back in the day could have easily confused this for a legitimate Dinobot. Too bad I wasn't fortunate enough to pay $2.99 for it like the previous owner did, based on the price tag on the front of the box. The back of the box uses the same illustration of the toy in robot mode on the right, but they've also added their own original artwork of the figure in alt mode on the left, which is goofy looking, but also pretty cool for what it is. Here's Prehistory Animal Sludge outside of the box, and you can see how different it looks compared to the figure that it takes its inspiration from. G1 Sludge was a brontosaurus, but this figure has a number of molding differences that makes it more of a cross between a brontosaurus, a pterodactyl, and one of those winged horses from Greek mythology. Let's take a closer look. Out of the box, the most subtle change here in the absence of a side-by-side comparison is probably the fact that it's a completely different color than G1 Sludge. Prehistory Animal is more of a bronze color than the standard Dinobot gray. The chrome parts are also more of a rich gold chrome compared to the shinier silver chrome parts of the original toy. The head of this figure has been completely remolded and looks more inspired by a pterodactyl or another winged dinosaur than a brontosaurus. He has pointy ridges starting from the back of his head, going right down his spine to the tip of his tail, that remind me of the teeth on a handsaw, which are completely absent from the G1 version of the toy. I think the most striking difference between the two figures would be the fact that Prehistory Animal Sludge has large gold chrome wings on his back. I'm no expert here, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they would have no place on this particular species of dinosaur. They look more inspired by wings that you might see on a winged horse like Pegasus from Greek mythology. The wingspan on this toy, measured fully outstretched from left to right, is around 7 inches. Let's take a look at the front of the figure in robot mode. Here's where he looks the most like his G1 counterpart, again with the exception of the bronze color and the massive set of wings on his back, which I think actually works in a strange way here in robot mode. The back of the figure is pretty standard fare. Here you get a better look at the wingspan in robot mode. The instructions are a little unclear on exactly how they're supposed to be positioned, so you can just go ahead and use your own judgment and put them whatever way you think looks best.
Alright guys, here we are with Prehistory Animal Sludge back in his dinosaur mode, and I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thank you very much for checking out my entry in the Figure Farce Challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment in the comments section. Let me know if you might be interested in a more thorough review of this or of any of the other Prehistory Animal Dinobots that are in the series. Now again, picture yourself in 1985 going to school and wanting to play Transformers with your friends. There was absolutely no way I could have shown up at school with this Prehistory Animal version of Sludge and expected my friends to let me play Transformers with them. I had one friend who actually called me out once because I showed up with, it was a micro-change knockoff version of Ravage. His name was just Jaguar. And he called me out. He said it wasn't a true Transformer and that I couldn't play because it didn't have a rub sign. And I guess Optimus Prime had announced on one of the commercials for the cartoon that all true Transformers have a rub sign and mine did not. So this is the reason why I would have hated this figure back in 1985 and the reason why it's my entry in the Figure Farce Challenge. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Take care.
Here's a little bit of extra footage that I decided not to use in my video, showing a comparison between Prehistory Animal Sludge and G1 Sludge. If I ever do a complete review of the figure, I'll show and discuss the inner contents of the box, including the accessories, and perhaps even include a little bit of history of the dinosaur robo figures, starting with the Diaclone version, and show side-by-side comparisons between the ancient animal knockoff and, of course, the G1 version of the toy. I didn't mention this earlier, but I didn't tag anyone to do the Figure Farce Challenge because I wanted this to be open to anyone who wanted to participate. If you decide you want to do the challenge, be sure to circle back here and leave me a comment letting me know so that I can be sure and check out your video. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care.